and but he enjoyed doing that.
Yeah.
He enjoyed doing the Trevithick train, being as he's a model railway. He's a modeler.
Oh yeah.
A railway modeler.
Hang on. You've gone into another avenue. Has he actually got a model of the Trevithick?
Has he got a model of? No. Oh
Has he?
no! I mean, he does make engines now, but they got like O gauge and O gauge layouts, and they are doing interwar period from 35 to 40. I don't know if they do the Second World War as well, but
What, Second World War
35 to, oh, that's not long, is it? That's only a few years. But the layouts are fantastic. I'd recommend Railway Modeler magazine. I've got them all. I've got them all actually. I could send you some photos, Carl.
So does he actually publish his stuff in there? Does he as well?
Oh, the Railway Modeler, the photographer has come down twice to Bridgend. It's Lariston, it's Model Railway Club, and done like a whole presentation of the their layouts. They've got one that is like, yeah, it's like I say, it's easier to see it than explain it, but they're really, Joe's really keen on detail. So you got the little children at the station with their little socks on and their little skirts and and the gardens and the real kind of, really, when it started going on the TV, those films, the railway films,
What, the Railway Children?
No. Years before that, like those, can't you think of one? Can you think of one?
Like Thomas the Tank Engine.
No,
you're
you're so
talking about.
young. I mean, yeah,
you're
Joe's
talking
74.
You're talking about that
74.
1947 film filmed in Carnforth.
Tickfield Thunderbolt.
Yeah, that's it. Those old Thunderbolt,
And the Will Hay films.
Pulaski.
And the Will Hay films.
Yeah, that's right. So they're all kind of, the atmosphere of the layouts, but of course they haven't been allowed to exhibit for 2 years. So but they've got one coming up now in, I think, September in Derby. And yeah, that should be good. I don't go. I just stay home and watch the home fires burning.
Is he actually going to Derby as well?
Oh yeah. Yeah, they've been to all sorts of places, with archaeological interest as well. York. You've been to York?
Well, you've been to York with me.
I know.
There's a railway museum, isn't it, in York?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's yeah. And where's that other place? Hey, Morecambe. Not Carlisle.
No, it's Carnforth. You're thinking about Carnforth, aren't you?
Carnforth. Yeah, Carnforth is.
And you've got a great museum in Crewe.
Even Swindon, Swindon. It's got a great museum, and so you're interested in that a little bit, is it?
Yeah, I used to be interested in
Richard?
trains and things.
Yeah.
my grandfather, he was an engine driver.
Oh, well, now. Joe's granddad was only a porter.
Oh,
What?
He was a porter on a railway station, an old-fashioned railway station.
Hang on. Wasn't your dad a stoker?
So they used to have to carry all the cases, you know, on these trolleys.
Wasn't your dad a stoker?
Was your dad a stoker?
No, your dad a stoker.
No,
I thought
he was a shunter.
So he could drive trains.
No.
What?
No, I don't know if he could drive trains, but it was down the docks at Newport.
Hang on, if he was a shunter, that's a train.
Yeah, but they hook and unhook it with a
connect
pole.
up the other, connect everything up.
Yeah, they just use a pole to connect
Yeah.
and disconnect the trucks because he was
Okay.
on, you know, goods wagons and, you know, loading the ships, I
Oh,
suppose.
right. Anyway, guys, we've had enough talking now.
There's
So,
Richard. No, there's Henry. You know, Henry's there.
well, we weren't supposed to have French Henry today.
Oh,
He wasn't supposed to join us. I thought you sent
no.
me a message. Shut up, you.
Oh,
I
has he sent us a message?
No,
well, I thought you said I thought you weren't joining us today.
no, I was joining you today. It was I couldn't do Tuesdays.
Oh,
Oh,
right.
that's right. Yeah, no, but there's somebody not joining us. Bill.
No, some Bill's not here, and there's also no
Golf.
there's no golf.
Goff. Oh, it was Goff. It was Goff. He was going somewhere.
Yeah, Richard hasn't joined us today, so there's no Richard.
So I'm glad Dal was there on Tuesday. I did look.
Yeah,
Um,
Dal finds it easier on a Tuesday night. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay then. Right. Any news from you, Anne?
No.
Right. What about you, French Henry?
Just this Roman discovery up country with the mosaic floor and the bathhouse and everything.
Is
Oh, yeah.
that Rutland? Is that
Yeah,
Rutland?
Rutland. Yeah, where the
Yes.
beer is.
Yes, it's been like rediscovered. Well, we talked about a lot on TV this week.
Yes. Yeah, we when it was released, obviously we looked at it then. So yeah, that's quite an amazing find from the last year, to be honest. So right, okay. What about you, Richard?
No, nothing I can think of. I say, obviously, I saw that with the mosaics and everything.
Yeah.
Richard, can I ask you why you've got a cut mark on your face?
Oh, what? Sorry.
You've got a cut mark on your face.
Oh, I caught it.
Oh.
Garage.
Richard.
Did you
Right.
see my talk, my little piece about Saint Bartholomew?
Well, tell us about that before we get started. Go on.
Oh, it was awful. He was skinned alive.
Right. Yeah, he was skinned alive, wasn't he?
Skinned alive, yeah. Oh no, I don't know if he was skinned alive or if he was skinned after he was dead. Well, I think he was skinned alive.
Yeah, well, I think
And I
that
blamed the
would be-
Romans. I said, oh, those Romans, they were so cruel. And it wasn't the Romans, it was someone else. It was more in the Ottoman, Empire.
the Persian world.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
Right. Okay. So anyway, thanks for that. We're looking at the Marlborough Mound today, because last week we looked at Silbury Hill, and we're going to look at Marlborough Mound. And I'm a bit tired today because I've been digging up my body, so I'm just a bit sort of knackered. It was quite strange eating my sandwiches whilst I'm holding a bone in my other hand, but that's something else. Right, so
You were
Was it-
doing archaeology. You said you stopped.
No, it's the lecturing, which is
Oh,
slightly
what?
different.
A lecture.
Yes, the lecturing. No. I'm still doing sort of occasional work. Yeah, but formally,
Oh, well.
no. Right. Okay.
All
So
right.
right. So we're going to look at the Marlborough Mound today, and hopefully we can crack on. Hang on a minute. Oh, it's all gone to pot. Hang on. Let's put that there. Good. Right, and we share.
Hmm.
Yeah, Bill was going to join us tonight, actually,
Hmm.
but because Henry upset him last week, he doesn't want to come on tonight.
It's not.
He
It's
wasn't
because
here last week.
he won't.
Yeah, that's why you upset him.
He won't. He don't like doing things late. Oh, I think he's got a meeting on a Thursday.
Who?
I think he's got a meeting at 7:30 on a Thursday.
Does he?
Yeah, it's the Lindy Valley.
What bad?
No, that's only one. That's only once a month, right? The Marlborough Mound. What do we know about the Marlborough Mound, folks? Tell us, and without looking at anything on the internet, what do we know? Anybody?
Nothing.
Oh, that's a good. Well, that's good.
There you are.
That's
That
fine.
gives you full range to expand one's knowledge.
Well, I could just basically make it all up, couldn't I?
Well, no, because I'll look it up.
Yeah, and he'll look it up right now.
No, you're not allowed to. Right, Marlborough Mound location. We're going to show you where. Some of you don't know where Marlborough is.
I know where Marlborough is, but
No, that's the carpet place, you silly woman.
I don't know anything
That's
about
Wilton.
the mound.
No, we're not doing Marlborough carpets.
Wilton carpets.
No,
Marlborough.
no, we're not doing Marlborough carpets. We're doing Marlborough Mound. Right. There's Marlborough, right? And it's a stone's throw from good old Avebury, right? And there, just below the B, would actually be good old Salisbury Hill.
Hmm.
So basically, it's 5 miles away, Marlborough Mound and basically Silbury Hill, which is just on that triangle, just below the E, on the north side of the A4. Anyway, so I just want to give you an idea where Marlborough is. There's Marlborough, keep it there. Okay, underneath the O. And then what we then do today, we look at the Skipsea Mound, which is actually off the north coast there. So if we type in Skipsea, so you get an idea, we're doing the Skipsea Mound. Right, there you go, Skipsea. Skipsea, yeah.
Oh.
There it is, good old Skipsea.
Hmm.
So there we go, Skipsea is, there it is, still there. And hang on, go back out again.
I've
It's
heard of
Richard's point.
Hornsey.
Yeah, there's Skipsea, Hornsey, yeah.
Hornsey Pottery.
So if we keep that there, we keep the Hornsey. So basically it's there, right? So you got the Stickity out bit there, you go down a bit, the river going to York, and there you go. That's where we are. So we're going to be looking at Skipsea Mound as well. Right, so what we need to do, we need to look, therefore, at the Marlborough Mound. And guess what? Guess where the Marlborough Mound is?
Marlborough.
Next to Marlborough.
Not the carpet place. It's in Marlborough. Don't be so silly, Anna.
Marlborough carpets.
It's Marlborough carpets.
Never heard
It's
of it.
Wilton carpets.
It's
Wilton.
Marlborough carpets.
It's Wilton.
Shut up.
Axminster.
Outside Salisbury.
No, there's Marlborough carpets in Cardiff.
Oh, God. That's the name of the shop. That's the name of the shop. It looks like a blancmange.
Right. That's what they used to think the mound looked like, right? And actually, the interesting thing about this is that it's linked directly to Henry VIII and the Seymour family, because the Seymour family bought Marlborough, the area where the Marlborough Mound is, and
Right.
put a house there. And what they did, they put a folly on top of this mound. Now, what we need to do, what I did the other day, I basically read out a load of blurb about Marlborough Mound. And I did it in a way as if you had just read it in the newspaper, right? So if you look at this in the newspaper and you think Marlborough Mound. Now, up until a few moments ago, wonderful Henri knew nothing about the Marlborough Mound, other than the fact it's nothing to do with carpets. So, Marlborough Mound, mystery solved after 4,402 years and 1 hour ago. It's the Marlborough Mound, it being a mound and not a hill, because Silbury Hill's a hill, and this is a mound. The Marlborough Mound itself is now in the school grounds of Marlborough College, and is referred to as the little sister of Silbury Hill, and it's revealed now as an important Neolithic monument. Now, they used to think that Marlborough Mound was built by Joe Norman, right, in the Norman period, but it wasn't built by the Normans. The Normans just plonked the castle on top and just basically said, we built it.
Yeah.
Every generation blames the one before. Now, 4 generations, it has been scrambled up with pride by students at Marlborough College, having a good old fang around the corner, jumping up a tree, running up and down naked. There's all sorts of things going on this mound, and they all thought originally it was a Norman mound, right? So,
Oh.
yeah. Oh, shut up. Anyway, so the great mystery. So what we're going to do, we're going to show you another image of Marlborough Mound, right? And there it is. There's Marlborough Mound, and there's the grotto. And don't get too excited. You're not going to find Santa Claus in that grotto. It's not that type of grotto. But that little building on the right there is known as the grotto, right? Because it's full of shells. Hey, not shell oil, by the way, just shells.
Oh,
Anyway,
that's very Victorian, or well, Victorian or 17th century, maybe.
Yeah. Thanks for that, Anne. And it's nothing to do with Santa Claus. Anyway, by the way, at this time, Santa Claus would have been green and not red. You can blame the Americans for that with their Coca-Cola. Anyway, the mysterious pudding-shaped mound. It's not a big blarange. It's a pudding-shaped mound, and it's made of all sorts of sort of clay and chalk and statues of Lloyd George. It's in the grounds of now the Wiltshire Public School. And it's now set to gain a far wider acclaim as scientists have revealed it as a prehistoric monument of international importance from the Neolithic period. Anyway, after thorough excavations, the Marlborough Mound is now thought to be around 4,401 years old and 4 hours, making it roughly contemporary with the nearby and far more renowned Silbury Hill. Oh, well, you know, you've got songs about Silbury Hill. Are we going to Silbury Hill? Oh, no, that's the wrong song, isn't it? Anyway, after thorough excavations, the Marlborough Mound is now thought to be around, we've done that twice. Shut up. We know how old it is. Anyway, the one thing as well is it's a mound. It's a mound that's got great secrets. And I believe that the Marlborough Mound is much more interesting than the Silbury Hill. Mind you, it doesn't have a song written about it, which is a bit of a strange. Well, you can't really sing, right? I'm going to Marlborough Mound. No, it don't go. So anyway, the long story short is the new archaeological evidence describes this to be an astonishing discovery because it's been in plain sight. Over there's a mound, you know, and it's thinking, yeah, right, okay, it's a Norman mound, yeah. Sure, there you go. But now we think it's not a Norman mound at all. It's actually a prehistoric mound. And so there you go. There's Silbury Hill. Go on, get that on there. Go on. Silly son. Right. Shut your face. Right, there's Silbury Hill. Right. Now, this is what it looked like before they started removing loads of the trees. Now, there's a little grotto down there. You can see a little guy's head poking out. See it? Good. Now, this itself, a mound, everyone thought, other than Dave and a couple of other archaeologists, everyone thought it was built by the Normans. But no, it wasn't built by the Normans at all. It was built in the Neolithic period. And this is astonishing because it's in plain sight. And it's only in very recent years that they've actually proved that, in fact, it is Neolithic. So in 2011, they started saying it's Neolithic, right? And no, Anne, don't get worried. There are no statues of Lloyd George buried in it at all. I was just joking about that bit. So this structure itself has been constructed over various generations. And as, again, Mike and the mechanics, every generation blames the one before. I just thought I'd put that in there. So yes, constructed over many, many generations. So the Marlborough Mound had been thought to only date back to the Norman times. It was believed to be the base of a castle built 50 years after the Norman invasion, or in fact, a few years after the Norman invasion, depending on who you sort of talk to, Dave, Fred, whoever. And basically, right, what they did, right, in the late 1500s, in fact, let's be precise, the Seymour family took over the estate in the year 1596, or there's about, or whatever. Anyway, they took over the estate and they decided to landscape it. And what they did, they like did a path around it, and they planted trees and sort of statues to Boris Johnson and all sorts of types of things. Anyway, the main thing is, right, what they did, they built a tower. So when you look at the reconstruction, right, the Seymours, there you go, reconstruction. So what is it? It's a winding path around the outside. And somewhere along the line, they put a grotto at the bottom. Why they call it grotto, I don't know. Anyway, so there's a photograph of the grotto, and loads of shells, job done. Good. Not shell oil, by the way, don't get that confused. So there it is. That's what they believed it looked like. I don't agree with it, that. I don't agree it looked like this at all, because it's, well, if this is what the mound had on top of it, right, the scale's wrong, right? And the other thing as well is, there would be remains of this there today, and it's not. It hasn't been stolen by people from Barry. Don't worry. The main thing is, well, you know, it's unlikely it never looked like this, right? It probably had a bit of a wooden tower on the top, stone tower. Not the Tower of London, by the way, but a stone tower. And all the remains of the stone tower disappeared. So what they've done now, so what we're going to do, I'm still doing the introduction on this, and Henry's just fallen asleep. Stop snoring, Henry, it's not good. So what they've done...
Still here.
Are you still here? I got two. Oh, do you want me to tell you? Do you want me to tell you a pirate joke? Right?
No.
I'm going to tell you one. Right? How much do pirates pay for earrings?
No idea.
Buccaneer.
You've been filming
Anyway,
too long.
what? Yeah, I think I have. I think I have. Anyway, right. I've forgotten what I was talking about. Oh yeah, we're talking about this mound. Anyway, completely wrong reconstruction, right? But we do know there's an association with this tower, with the tower, not the tower, with the mound and water around the outside. Yeah. So yeah, little boys and girls used to play in the water, and you know, with sticklebacks and stuff. Anyway, so the mound itself, 19 meters high. Some say 18.5 meters. Some say 20 meters high. But the fact of the matter is, if you want to compare it with Silbury Hill, right? Stop singing. I know you want to do the song, Richard, but you're not allowed to, right? So when you want to compare it with the likes of Silbury Hill is approximately 39 meters and 94 centimeters and a millimeter. Right, so this naturally is half the height of I'll get rid of this image, it's doing my head in. Right, so it's actually half the height. And let's oh god, yeah, there we go, nice, like it, good. So Marlborough Mound, there you go, some facts and figures. Whoa. They done it in feet. What do they do it in feet for, you bloody numpties? Nobody does feet anymore. Anyway, the main thing is, well, there you go. Give you an idea of comparison, job done. But the one thing about both of the mounds, right, is the fact that they probably had sort of conical shape type things on the top, right? And they weren't flat and landing pads for aliens, as Anne thought. Anyway, so the main thing as well is that they've been flattened, both of them been flattened over time. But one thing you can see is clearly that the one on the left, which is Silbury Hill, right, resists the singing. The one on the left, Silbury Hill, looks clearly that it's like sort of stepped. Yeah, good. So what they did with Marlborough Mound, they took 4 samples from different trenches, and they took some radiocarbon date samples, right? And the radiocarbon date samples tell us that the mound itself dates from around 4,402 years old, and the 4th of August. And the point is that the dates they got were actually in the top layers, not in the lowest layers. So the mound can actually be a lot older again. The samples prove it was built at a time when people were sort of maybe combining the labor. No, we're not doing politics. Labor is in labor, not political party. So combining labor on ritual monuments in the area, and it might be true. And the one thing is, well, why we think they're combining labor is there's different materials from different areas that have been used in the construction of Marlborough Mound. So here we go. I'm gonna have a slip. Oh God, I haven't stopped talking. Right. Okay. Paul Yorick, I knew him so well. Just a reminder of the skeleton that I excavated today. We called him Paul Yorick. So history students at the college will now have the chance to study an extraordinary example just a stone's throw from the classroom windows. And if the stone comes back, it breaks the windows and knocks the child on the head. Fair enough. Marlborough's master, Nicholas Sampson, related to Peter Sampson of the Tuesday evening class. It's a shame you're not going to be able to meet him this week, Henry, because you've opted to keep on a Thursday. Never mind. So anyway, Nicholas Sampson said, "We are thrilled at this discovery. In fact, we are so thrilled, we're going to have picnics on top of it every sort of now and again. Not in this weather, by the way, which confirms the long and dramatic history of this beautiful site and offers opportunity, tremendous educational enrichment, including having Santa Claus on the top. And this is what they planned. They got the grotto down at the bottom, and what it is, Santa Claus is dropped by sort of a helicopter on the top, and then he secretly goes into the back of the grotto. Children see Santa Claus, and it's great, but that's absolutely nothing to do with the original prehistoric Neolithic background of the Marlborough Mound. So it's very close to Silbury Hill. Resist the singing. After the more famous artificial hill on the outskirts of Avebury, which is the largest man-made prehistoric hill in Europe. Now, notice the difference between mound and hill. There you go. So Silbury Hill, there you go, is a hill, and this is a mound.
Well, the diameter.
What?
The diameter is different, bigger.
Yeah. So when does it make it a mountain?
Oh yes, yes.
So basically, right, this is an intriguing question, right? When is a hill and a mountain, and somebody who picks their nose, somebody who picks their nose? This is what we've got to work out.
I think there is a measure that makes a mountain, but I don't know what it is.
Oh, I tell you what we're going to do, we're going to go on the internet, because I know somebody else is. Before he interrupts, he always does this. Right, what we're going to do, we're going to type in hill, mountain, and mound.
Well, crack on.
What?
Crack on.
What are you on about? I thought you were supposed to be doing it. Shut up.
You're doing it.
No, look, hang on a minute. Right, okay. What's the difference between a mountain, a hill, a mound, a knoll, and a Sasquatch?
Oh no, just a mountain and a hill.
You don't want to do the knoll and the Sasquatch, do you? You
Oh
know,
God, I'm gonna have to go and get my mobile phone now.
See what you've done?
I don't know. No, I've got the Marble Arch Mound come up. The Marble Arch Mound in London is 25 meters high.
All I'm getting is property to rent in Marlborough Hill, London.
Yeah, but that's nothing. Right, here we go. Shut up. What? Don't type in woman with big jugs because you'll end up getting people knocking your door. Right. Right. A mound and a hill. Is that mound? Yeah. The mound is a hand while hill is what? Right. In baseball terms, the difference between, oh, for God's sake.
Hill
Oh,
has
my.
a summit less than 1,000 feet.
Why did you tell me in the first place? You made me out to be a right bloody idiot.
Oh, you went quick enough.
There are characteristics that we typically associate with mountains. For example, most mountains have steep slopes and well-defined summit hills, while hills tend to be rounded. Anyway,
Wait, stop.
what is a
Hang
hill?
on. No, hang on a minute. It's not rounded though. It's flat.
Can you base jump off it?
Shut up. Right, okay. We've got the measurements, right? A hill is a landform that extends above the surrounding terrain, right? And a hill has to be, oh no.
Less than 1,000 feet.
Shut up. Right.
Yes.
A mountain has to be 304 meters and 8 whatever, right? So underneath that is a hill.
It says 2,000 feet here.
No. What?
A hill
It's
is
1,000. I just wish we had a blooming started this now.
Oh,
Why did you
God.
ask that question?
Well, the thing is, if a mountain
No,
is
I want to look. Shut up. What?
extends over 2,000
Why
feet,
not?
then anything lower
not
than that is a hill.
We're not doing mountains, all right? Shut up.
Well, you brought it up.
Who did?
You.
I wish I hadn't bothered now. Right. Right. A mound.
I hope this isn't going out live. It'd be very embarrassing.
It is.
Someone.
What?
For Pirate Pete's career, this could be the end of it.
No, that's why. That's why nobody knows. Well, shut up. I use a different name when I'm acting.
All
Right.
right,
Okay.
Charles.
Right. Listen.
Adolf.
No. Right. Mound height. No, height of mound. Right. Here we go. Right. Go for it. Right. All right. Oh God, I can't do this. It's all about bloody hardball. Who actually ever plays hardball? But there is one thing I want to put in here, which is going to confuse you all, right? The grassy knoll is the knoll that was used to assassinate John F. Kennedy in November 1963.
Correct.
Oh, that's a sort of mound, isn't it?
But there's a skip. But was it that gun?
What? It was from the blooming Dallas Depository Office, wasn't it?
But was it?
Oh, some of these answers are ridiculous.
I think you've just gone down the big rabbit hole.
Yeah, but it won't tell me an answer. Right, okay, you listen. Right, a hill. A natural mound of earth created either by faulting or erosion. A bump in the landscape.
Yeah, good to go with that.
Yeah. Listen. It says a natural mound. So because they've been created by human beings, right? The Marlborough Mound isn't a mound. Right.
It's very volcanic from here.
Oh, shut up.
Um,
Yeah, thank you. Oh, there.
it's less than 2,000 feet above sea level.
Oh, I don't care. We moved on. And nobody cares anymore.
But you're telling everybody it's a mound.
Look, no.
Well, I think it is a mound.
It says it's a mound. I tell you what, the people online have lost the bloody will to live. Right. Listen. There is a comparison of the two mounds, okay? But the other one's not a mound, it's a hill. It's apparently. Got it? Is anyone there?
Yeah, carry on, carry on.
I'm just asking if there's anyone there and nobody says a bloody word. Right,
Just
okay.
have. Get on with it.
I am. Anyway, look, there it is, right? The big question is, like, this is why we brought it up. So where in it, why is it Silbury Hill and Marlborough Mound? Why do they call it Marlborough Hill?
Well, it's not a Neolithic term. It's a local term. Well,
What?
a local name. You know, that everyone names things. And
Oh no. You know what? On the internet, right? Somebody has actually gone with the grassy knoll conversation, right?
it's Marlborough Mound. It's Marlborough Mound. You just got to accept it. And Silbury Hill is Silbury Hill.
All right. I got to tell you news from the internet about the grassy knoll, right? He's correct. The killing shot came from a shooter on the grassy knoll with a special mercury-containing bullet. Because
Well,
they
there's a
actually thought JFK was a vampire.
There's actually a knoll park in Nice.
I don't think that was involved in the shooting.
But there is a knoll there.
That would have been a very long shot from Neath to the US.
Hang on, isn't there a hill in the way or something?
There's a lot of water.
Oh
Probably a hill
no.
there, but
Oh,
no
hang on.
park.
Man, apparently it's a fact. How the hell have we got off this subject? Right.
You did it.
I just wanted to fact. I wanted to.
All I know is that I've been through Marlborough and the mound is quite incongruous in the
Yeah,
area. You can see
Yeah.
it, you know, next to buildings.
yeah.
And I think that's what made it, people think it was like, you
Not
know,
like a
a
donut.
castle mound.
Yeah. Good. Right, all right. Marlborough. The thing is, they argue, right? Now, I don't agree with this, right? This is one of the facts. We're going to do some facts, by the way. And by the way, sorry, Professor. Right, okay. Now, it always says, right, that Marlborough is 2/3 the height of Silbury, right? Well, I would say it's half the height, isn't it? Well, it's about, of course it's half the blooming height. I've already told you. One is 19 meters and the other one's 39. I hate it when I get these things wrong. Anyway, the point is, right, is that the Marlborough Mound is up there in one of the biggest mounds in Britain, right? Except we don't know whether that's completely true yet because we haven't investigated all the mounds. There's lots of other mounds across Britain that are claiming to be Norman, right? And they might not be Norman at all. They may have been built by the Neolithic people, built over a long period of time. Basically, somebody put a bit of soil on top of another bit of soil, right? And they said every generation blames one before, right? So in one generation they build a bit of a mound, and in another generation they put another bit on. So after 200 years, they don't know why they started building a mound in the first place. Got it? So anyway, Jim Leary, right? The English heritage archaeologist who led the excavations at Silbury Hill in 2007, said, "Here we go. We've got to get an English accent." Remember, he's an English heritage archaeologist, so he sounds like this. "This is an astonishing discovery. The Marlborough Mound has been one of the biggest mysteries in the Wessex landscape. For centuries, people have wondered whether it is Silbury's little sister, and now we have an answer. This is a very exciting time for British prehistory." Does that sound like an English heritage archaeologist?
No.
So,
Sounds like a
clear enough?
lord.
was it? Right. The dating, not right, Anne, don't get this the wrong way, right? When I say the dating, it's not like match dating, it's not online dating, right? It's actually dating, as in radiocarbon dating, dendrochronology, not the other dating, right? So make that clear. So the dating was carried out as part of a major conservation work amid concerns that the tree roots could be destabilizing the structure. It feels a bit like my head, to be honest with you, but yeah, a bit destabilized. Right. Anyway, so we've got those cores there, but you know, giving us a little bit of an idea. So original ground surface. I'm not exactly sure those cores went all the way down. And by the way, it's not an apple core; it's a core into the mound. There you go. Where they auger into it. So what we're going to do, we're going to talk about some. We're going to give some sensible facts. Right, good. So now it's established that the Marlborough Mound, and where's the Marlborough Mound again?
At Marlborough.
Correct. It's a mound that's dated towards the end of the Neolithic period.
It's all part of Wilton carpets.
Well, we're going to go to Marlborough for a weekend or something.
Why did you go to Wilton carpets?
I got a Wilton carpet. Actually, it's just a style. Wilton.
What?
Wilton is. Wilton is just a style of carpet. Wilton.
I thought it was a brand.
No, Axminster.
I thought it was like a Persian rug type thing.
No, there's
It's
actually a
usually
factory at Wilton.
plain, short-haired, plain, whereas Axminster's patterned. I think I'm probably wrong, but never mind.
There's actually a factory at Wilton, which is Wilton Carpets, which is now a little indoor shopping centre.
Oh, right.
I just make a comment, right? Yeah. Where else are Wilton carpets supposed to be made in bloody Anglesey? Right.
No, you can't get off Anglesey, the bridge is closed.
That's true.
Can you? Is that true?
Well, there must be another crossing because
Yeah, you can bloody swim. Can we carry on with the lecture?
Go on then, get on with it.
I'm trying.
he's doing something while he's lecturing.
No, I'm not. No, I've
He's
got the
knitting your
computer.
jumper.
You're
I've got the
feeding
computer.
things.
Listen, I've got a computer screen in front of me, right? And I've got a silly woman from Barry, Kate, who's a massive supporter of Donald Trump, right? And she's telling me about the grassy knoll thing. Okay, I'm just getting distracted.
Oh, hang on.
They might have used an ice bullet, actually.
They use a bloody. Oh, right. Let's. No. What the hell are you on about? What did they do? Get right. They had an ice pack.
Yeah.
And they put it. What?
No evidence of the bullet.
Isn't there? Right. Oh, for God's sake. Right. So the point is, right, until this was realized as a prehistoric Neolithic mound, right? It was obviously taught as Norman, right? But there is a little bit of a story about this. There's a bit of a backstory, right? It was only become a scheduled ancient monument, right, in 1951. So I thought I'd chuck that in there, right? Now, what it is, right? So we can move off from this, can't we? Yeah, thank God for that. Doing my editing, right? So at the bottom of it, right, they're all queuing to see Santa Claus. Look at all the little children. And basically, the grotto itself was probably founded at the end of the 1500s, and the building that you could see today is mainly of 1700s. Yeah. So Marlborough Mound now, right, this is a very important thing. Marlborough Mound is now part of a very complex Neolithic landscape. But until we knew it was part of a complex Neolithic landscape, it wasn't part of a Neolithic landscape because it was a Norman site. But now we know it's Neolithic, it's part of a very complex Neolithic landscape. However, it's part of neither because this mound is in a modern era. And it survived into the modern era. So that's really good. One thing that we do know about this mound, that there's not loads of tunnels being dug into it, right? There's been trenches dug into it, but there's not loads of tunnels dug into it, right? So that means it's in a better state, and we know a lot more about it than Silbury Hill. Yeah. So is that
Well,
that song?
they probably made more use of it.
Are you what? Yeah, Scarborough Fair. Yeah. Yes, they made more use of it, and they loved it, and they cherished it, right? And it's like there. So it's basically right. It's basically close. There's an association with water with this mound. It's close to the River Kennet, and obviously it was part of this great sort of country house there, which was set up by the Seymour family, who was actually the Seymour family, as in Jane Seymour.
Oh.
Right? Yeah. Right. Anyway, this mound itself is like got loads of connections with water, but so do lots of the other Neolithic monuments within the landscape. If you look at Stonehenge, for example, you got the River Avon. Yeah, you got the River Avon, not River Phoenix, River Avon. And the point is that monument, Stonehenge, is linked to a river and whatever, and this is linked to rivers, whatever. So there's a water link. Now, the other thing as well is it's fairly safe to clamber on and wander up, and to have Santa Claus arriving by helicopter on top to sort of go into the grotto and give out presents to children. Since construction, the mound has functioned as the moat for a Norman castle, a garden feature for a stately home, cuddly toy, and the site for a water tower with Marlborough College.
All right.
So, yeah, there was a wooden tower on it, and they used to store water in it, right? And when, right, when what it was, right, they used to practice sort of bobsleighing down it as well, when there was loads of snow, and because they go around in a circle like a. Anyway, but it wasn't available when we entered the Olympic Games, so we couldn't practice. So here we go. Today, only the earthwork remains. At its base, there you go, the grotto. In recent years, there has been renewed interest in the site pertaining to its restoration and preservation as a culturally and historical significant site in Wiltshire. Now, being that it's a Neolithic site now, it's of It's of world importance. Yes. Anyway, carry on. So, right. Anyway, any questions? Good. I'm not going to answer them anyway. Right. Anyway, there is the mound as they've been cleaning it up. Because what they've done, they've removed lots of the trees because the trees were damaging the mound. So what they did, they've got like a spiral path to the top, right? So from other classes, when you get a spiral path, is that a labyrinthal path or a thingamajig path? Maze. Is it a maze or a labyrinthal path, Anne? Anne!
Let's go for path.
It's labyrinthal.
There you go.
Yeah, there was like a you know, in the 1980s there were like loads of children's programs and it used to be really frightening. There used to be one called The Labyrinth. There used to be one called The Box of Delights. They were so frightening, right? That it turned people into people like me.
I think she's disappeared into the fourth dimension.
I hope so. Right. Good. Some more details about this because I want to get some more details in there because nobody knows what the hell I'm on about anyway. So the mound is located on the western side of Marlborough, within the grounds of Marlborough College. So when you drive into Marlborough itself, right from the north, the college is on the right before you get to the centre of the town, right? And there it is. You can see, well, you can see something sticking out anyway. And again, 5 miles sort of east from Silbury Hill. And there are lots of other mounds around as well, like the Sherrington Mound and various other barrows. So is it a burial mound? Well, we really don't know what's in it. It's not, if it's anything like Silbury Hill, right, there's no burials in it. So the one thing as well is it is 149.76 meters above sea level. And the base is a whopping 83 meters and 2 centimeters in a millimeter in diameter. And the flat bit at the top, because it probably wasn't flat initially, it was probably sort of curved, you know, and that bit like the way sort of Silbury Hill was. So what we've got is that another thing that this has got in common with Silbury Hill is that the top of Silbury Hill was flattened. This was flattened because the Seymour family were very much actively involved in buying this mound and the estate. I got my dates completely wrong. It wasn't 1596, it was 1654. So there you go. So this was integrated into the grounds of the stately home built adjacent to it. The occupants, the Seymour family, landscaped the mound and recut or cut a spiral path to the summit. The walkway is a little over 1.5 meters wide, requiring 4 circuits of the mound to summit it. Concrete steps are built into the south side of the mound, allowing modern access. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a break. I wish I had a Kit Kat. I don't. Right, we're going to take a break, right? And then we're going to come back to this after the break because I think Richard's knackered. Right, so let's have a break.
Richard, you're knackered. Yeah.
Well, look, I'll tell you more about this bit digging up this body today, right? It was a big bloody hole, right? I got covered in mud. I ended up having to eat my sandwiches with the body. And we eventually got the skull out. Job done.
Oh, well, that's good.
Was he happy?
I'm going to have a break then. Have a Kit
Well,
Kat.
the problem is, no, he wasn't happy, right? Because we couldn't find his lower jaw.
Oh. Well,
No, it wasn't in a well at all. No, no, no.
It's not on the coastal path, is it?
Well, it could be a murder victim, couldn't it?
could be a
The
murder.
200-year-old one on the coastal path down in Cornwall.
Hmm.
What?
Jaw.
No, not Jaws. Jaw.
I'm just thinking of what could have happened to it.
Yeah. Anyway, let's
Right,
have a
then.
right. Richard, anything you want to say in our break? And Anne want to say anything? And Henri.
Well, I suppose that I've always got something to say, but going back to the mounds, I
No
think
shit.
they're very pretty. I think it would have made a nice, just a bit sort of spaceshipy, like
Yeah.
no, not spaceshipy because they're craters, but
Trinoids.
yeah, it's sort of it's art. It's art.
It's that.
It's Wiltshire art.
That.
I'm gonna have a coffee.
Right. Let's everyone have a break.
I'm sorry, are we supposed to have a break and talk to each other?
Yeah. Right. You could talk to Henry, right? I'm having a break.
I've
Yeah,
got
go
to
on,
sort.
then. Shut yourself up.
I've got to sort a few things out. He's got to light a fire to keep himself warm.
All right.
Well, temperature's going to drop below zero tonight.
Oh God.
Huh?
Oh.
Well, there was no frost last night, but there was everywhere else, which is a bit strange. I gotta have a look, guys. I'm having a break now. Go away.
You've probably got a lot of hay in your caravan.
Oh, for God's sake, shut up!
No, that's something else.
Keeps it warm. Warmer than
Look, right. Can I just make this comment, right? If I've got sheep in here with me, right, it's because they're cold.
You know what you say about the Welsh and the sheep?
Oh
There
God.
you go.
Right. I'm having a little break now. Go away.
All right. Ta-ra then. Oh God.
We'll leave the madman in peace.
He's been in a bit of a funny mood today. He's been on the pop.
Yeah, I think so. Right, I've got to go
I
and put
know
the
he doesn't
dishwasher.
drink pop, but pot.
I've got to go and put the dishwasher on.
No, he's probably tired.
Right, I'm disappearing for a few minutes.
Okay then. I'm
Bye.
going to have a cup of coffee. Do you want me to switch it off? Or do you want to look at my awful cupboard? My corner.
Hello!
Hello.
Hello!
Hello.
Hey, one for the Wales win over England. Oggy, oggy, oggy!
Oh. Oh, it's supposed to be a happy lot anyway, us Welsh. Singing all the time.
In my alternate universe, Wales beat England. They did.
Do what?
Wales beat England in the football.
No, they didn't.
They did in my alternate universe. They did.
Oh.
And
It
and
was?
they beat the Irish as well.
Yeah.
The thing is, the Irish ain't good at doing anything, are they?
Hmm?
The Irish ain't good at doing anything.
Well, everybody's just, trying to keep their scores going, like. I mean, they only won because they didn't win.
Yeah. What?
You know,
Amy, are you there still?
like the
Richard.
team today, only
Richard lost the
won
will to live. What?
because they lost. You know, like they only won because they didn't win, didn't score. They didn't score, but they won because they drew. And Belgium's usually good, isn't it? They weren't. I gotta watch all the football. Well, you know. Oh,
The thing is, Anne, right, if suddenly, right, the United States football team disappears and the Iranian football team disappears, then Wales qualifies. Right, let's get back to it.
are you sending me the revolting videos?
No, why?
Someone is.
What's in these videos? Oh, come on.
Oh no, just bananas and things. Bananas and monkeys.
Why is that revolting?
No, sorry. It's just their interchangeability, you know, they what they're doing with the bananas and the monkeys.
Right. Let's crack on. Right.
I can't remember.
You can't remember what?
This week it's just flown by. I've been trying to get a lift to the hospital, but I gotta get a taxi to Cardiff from Bridgend.
And
What?
what's that got to do with what we're doing?
Nothing. But are we changing our perception of the Neolithic era?
Of course, I'm changing your perception of the Neolithic era. Now, what we do believe is now, since 2011, archaeologists like Joshua Pollard, who's a personal friend of Neil Oliver, who's also a friend of mine, and Jim Leary, the very posh English heritage archaeologist, have discussed understanding the construction of the mound, not in terms of the finished product, but rather as a series of stages. The Earth is one stage in which we build and perform. And the one thing as well is, this is a thing, it's like a piece of art, isn't it, that is never completed. And when you think about a mound like this, it may have been a work in progress continually.
Yeah.
And if people,
I'm
are
okay.
adding to it, shut up. If people are adding to it over a period of time.
Well, I think it's wonderful that it's survived the modern era and they're using it. I think it's great.
The thing is, in many ways, it's part of the modern era. That's the point. So when you think about it, and the other thing as well is, when you think about it in the Neolithic period, that it was like a series of projects. Even today, when you look at it, it's part of an ever-evolving world and an ever-evolving context. And what they did, they took a load of cores from the mound. And what they realized, an organization called Geotechnical Engineering in 2010. So they had to get special permission off English Heritage. And the point is, when they actually managed to get some coring, so they actually cored into the mound, they actually realized that the mound is not just of one material. It's not just made of chalk.
No.
In fact, it's built over, say, 200 years. It's built using different materials So whoever's building at one stage is using chalk. Who's ever building another stage is using clay of different colors. Some people are using silts, which would have obviously come from rivers and so on. Some various different types of colors of silts, which is really interesting. And a flinty gravel, which may have come from riverbanks and stuff. But the point is with all of this, is earlier on we basically mentioned that the mound may have actually been constructed by people over a period of time, bring in their contributions to the mound, which makes a lot of sense. And what we could do is we could basically compare it with, say, the Nazca lines. When you look at the Nazca lines, people are taking pottery from hundreds of miles away to the Nazca lines and then breaking the pottery deliberately on the Nazca lines. So they're bringing material to the Nazca lines as contributions. Also, if you say, for example, of the Anglo-Saxon period, what we look at Brinksworth Church in Northamptonshire, people are bringing material from all the way around to be used in the construction of Brinksworth Church. So this is the point. People are making additions to the mound over a very, very long period of time. So when we think about the mound, we think of this image and we think about a sort of stereotypical look at the image. And there's a stream nearby, which again is part of this idea that the mound's got a link with water. So the original purpose of Marlborough Mound is unclear, naturally, but there is a wide historical coverage of how the mound has been used through time. Now, interestingly enough, there's a local legend that associates the mound with Merlin himself, Merlin's burial. And why would Marlborough be called Marlborough, Anne?
Marlborough.
Yeah, but what does Marlborough sound like?
Marlborough.
Merlin.
Oh, well, no, I wouldn't have thought of it. No, but
When you think about Marlborough, Merlin.
Merlin.
So it was a borough or place of Merlin.
Somebody mentioned Merlin the other day.
Yeah, I'm glad they did. Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, shut up. Anyway, Marlborough named after Merlin, right? In other words, ube nuneke sapetisis osas Merlini, which is basically, where now are the bones of the wise Merlin underneath the mound? Drum roll.
Oh.
Yeah, cool.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't know you were getting there. I didn't know you were going there
Where?
to Merlin. You know, like, I didn't realise this talk was going to include Merlin. Now it's a different ball game, isn't it?
Hang on a minute. Can I just make a comment, right, on behalf of everyone watching and the 3 people online as well? Why would I warn you in advance that we're talking about Merlin?
No. No, you wouldn't. No.
Yeah, thanks. Cool. Anyway, so what it is, right? William Stukeley, the great antiquarian from the beginning of the 1700s, remember him well, right? He believed that the mound might have an association with a Roman fort, and he's come up with a weird thing, right? And we'll show you what I mean in a minute, right? When William Stukeley, he would have been aware of Cardiff Castle, right? And he would have also been aware that there's a mound in the template of the old remains of a Roman fort, right? So he thought that a Roman fort had been built around this, and that the mound itself, you see the link there? Yeah. And the reason why, what we do, right? What we do, hang on a minute. What we do this. And if we type in here, we'll get what I mean, right? Right. Do you know what? It's really difficult to be a pirate sounding in a Cardiff accent. It always comes out like Liverpudlian. Right. So if we look at that there, you can see the big mound in the middle.
Yeah, Cardiff.
Cardiff. Ah, Cardiff Farms. Anyway, the point is that the wall around that is like Roman, right? So the point is that William Stukely believed that it might be that there may have been there we go. The thing is what William Stukely had been told and found that there were a lot of Roman coins and lots of Roman artifacts within this area. What were the Roman coins and artifacts doing there in the first place? So the point is that he made this assumption that there's a Roman link with this mound, and now that's not really been investigated. It certainly wasn't built by the Romans, but you can see where you've got a fort that's sort of linked to an earlier mound.
Oh yeah.
However, in the case of Cardiff, the mound came after the fort. But can you work out? Can you sort of see Stukely's logic? Yeah.
Yeah.
What Stukely may have been thinking is that this mound was built in the remains of a Roman fort by the Normans, not the other way around. But there's different ways of playing and looking at that. And also associated with this mound as well is also various other Roman artifacts. But anyway, that's another thing. So the historian Ronald Hutton, who's as mad as a box of frogs jumping with the lid off, a bit like me, speculated in 2016 that the mound was either an oratory platform. So basically, you can imagine me being on the top, can't you? You can say, you can say in the Neolithic period, people, gentlemen and gentlewomen and children, you are gathered here today to see me, the greatest man ever, and I am standing on the mound. So you can think about this as an oratory platform. This is what Ronald Hutton believed. Or it could have been used for social purposes, for the community, or something to do with ritual. Now, the point is, you see, like, in 1067, William the Conqueror assumed control of the Third Reich. Assumed control of Marlborough's area and assigned Roger, Bishop of Salisbury, to construct a wooden Motte and Bailey castle on the mound. Now, it was assumed at that stage that the mound is built by the Normans, but it wasn't. Now, the other thing as well is there was a famous Bishop of Selsey that was imprisoned in a tower. So what we do know, now these are the facts, right? What we do know is that there was a tower on this mound, right, in the Norman period. And it was used as a prison for Elaric, the Bishop of Selsey. The point to be made there is people have just assumed that because there was a tower on there, that the Normans must have built the mound as well. So the neighbouring Savanac Forest was made into a royal hunting ground, and Marlborough Castle became a royal residence. Stone was later used to strengthen it around 1175. Between 1227 and 1272, Henry III invested in the renovation of the castle, particularly the residential areas and the chapel nearby. After his death, Marlborough lost favour as a royal residence, and the castle fell into disrepair after it was no longer used from 1370. It was observed to be of a ruinous state in 1541 by the chronicler John Leland. Edward VI then passed it to the Seymour family, as he had relations with them through his mother, Jane Seymour, right? So the point is that, you know, there's a royal link. And do you know what? Do you know when I said earlier on I was wrong about the 1596 date? I was probably right all along. Why do I doubt myself? Anyway, The Seymours kept hold of the area, and the Seymours excavated a cavern and built a flint grotto at the bottom, and a spiral path to the summit. In the 1700s, a lady garden. No, in the 1700s, Lady Hertford incorporated the mound into the gardens of the stately home. There was a cascade of. Basically, they used it as like a. There was a cascade of water from the top going all the way down to the bottom. Apparently, reflected water. How they managed to get the bloody water at the top in the first place, I don't know. This usage forms part of a traditional garden with mounds that was very typical and prominent in Britain in the late 1500s and throughout the 1600s. And the shell-decorated grotto, which you can there see at the bottom of the right there, is the only remaining relic of these features, but really important. After the last Duke of Somerset on that branch died, the stately home became a coaching inn anyway. And then eventually it became part of the new Marlborough College. And they had a water tank on the top in 1843. And the water tank has since been removed. Now, that's a really, really interesting thing to be talking about. So next, what I would like to do is talk a little bit about the investigations. So if we change the image again, you know, what we should have is music as a backdrop to these presentations. I think they go down very well. That gives you an idea of scale. I tell you what, doesn't it look really out of character? When you look at an image like that, it looks really weird.
Yeah, it does.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It looks really, really strange. So, investigations. Most recorded investigation and speculation about the mound have occurred from the 1700s to the present day. So they didn't suffer the same as what happened to Silbury Hill in 1776. So the methodologies used by investigators are varied. And obviously, William Stukeley in the 1720s is obsessed by the Roman coins from the landscape. The 18 and the 1900s are characterized by traditional archaeological techniques, and a hypothesis that Marlborough Mound was archaeologically connected with Silbury Hill was first thought about in 1821, but dismissed. The work of Richard Hall, who was a great sort of digger of mounds and all the rest of it, in his history, The Ancient History of Wiltshire, he placed the two sites within a larger archaeological context. He said that the Silbury Hill and Avebury were of the same date, right? However, Hall had no evidence to say that this mound was ever constructed in the Neolithic period. Hall suggested that the site was of prehistoric origin, but it was dismissed. In 1892, a publication of recent excavations at Marlborough College included an antler found in the slopes of the mound. Now, you think about an antler, that's not something that the Normans would have used to dig the mound, right? Additionally, other antlers were actually found by the schoolmaster Brethnall, fueled by Hall's original case for prehistoric origins of the mound. And obviously, you know, and in opposition to the idea that it was constructed for Merlin as a burial place, and it was not solely constructed by the Normans. So this Hall guy was basically saying, look, you know, it must be prehistoric. The school teacher Brethnall, the school teacher Brethnall in the 1890s suggested that the impregnation of chalk on the antlers tells us that the antlers were used in the construction of the mound some time ago. But the problem was the Roman coins. Because coins were being found from the Roman period, people started thinking it can't be Neolithic. It must be either Roman or Norman. As the 1900s progressed, the finding of medieval artifacts, as well as a review of previously assembled evidence, caused there to be some questioning of the prehistoric origin. So in other words, from 1955 and 1956, excavations on the western side found refuge from the medieval period, which included Norman pottery, as late as which include Norman pottery. So in other words, because Norman stuff had been found in the ditches around the site, and Roman stuff, obviously, which is pre-Norman, but people started to think, actually, this mound must have been constructed in the Norman period, and the Roman coins are as a result of people picking up Roman coins in and around the Marlborough area and dropping them on a Norman mound. So into the 1997, it was concluded fully that the mound must have been medieval. An analysis of available evidence concluded that without additional findings, the mound was essentially a medieval construction. So it's quite amazing that you've got something that's thought to be medieval for all that time, even though people have suggested that it might actually be prehistoric earlier on, but they're completely dismissing that. So it was only in the very, very late 1990s, i.e. 1999 and into the 2000s, that people really started to investigate the mound. The Royal Commission on Ancient Historic Monuments of England surveyed the mound in 1997. And the Marlborough Mound began to be thought of as a possible comparable site to Silbury Hill. So it wasn't until 1999 that people actually started to think really, realistically, that it might be Neolithic. So they knew what they thought it was years ago, but they dismissed it. Extracting datable material from the mound was thought to be the best way of achieving, and geotechnical engineering took 6 cores. And 2 of them were boreholes into the mound, and the earliest possible dates that they came across, the earliest possible dates, as I said, the mound dated to 4,400 years ago. They believe it was a lot older than that, more like 4,600 years ago. But it might actually be older than that again if you sort of start coring into the middle. So the interest in investigating the mound has brought it into a broader discussion of how mounds can be used to learn about the people that lived in this part of Neolithic Britain. These questions have been asked from a variety of interdisciplinary perspectives. Archaeologist Jim Leary has suggested a metaphysical link to and a link with the veneration of water. His theory is based on the proximity to the River Kennet, which is also characteristics of Silbury Hill. Rivers in the Neolithic period were a vital means of transport and a vital connection with Neolithic monuments. And the mound itself seems to be very much connected with water. Is it an expression of a link with water in the Neolithic period, according to a geologist, Geddes? Nigel Bryant suggested, who's another writer, that it's associated with the earth goddess. Whatever it's associated with, it probably its meaning and the idea of what the mound was changed over a period of time. The period in which the mound and the others in Wiltshire were constructed coincided with the end of the Neolithic period, and maybe a link with a change, i.e. The change being the coming of copper and the Bronze Age, but that's a bit of a weird one. So the reason why it looks like that now today is simply because they've been clearing lots of trees, restoring the mound. It was believed that the trees that were there were undermining the mound and might actually cause instability there. So the restoration effect has been intended to address the risk of collapse and maintain the structural integrity of the mound. Structural conservation has been done as a response to the growing dangers of destabilization by tree roots. So they're cutting down the trees. In 2016, the restoration targeted the removal of the tree canopy, stabilizing the earth with grasses, laying fresh soil and the injection of gel on top of the mound in order to hold the structure together. No idea what this gel stuff was. The removal of trees and planting was completed in 2020. They've got funding to keep the project going, and they spend about £90,000 a year on preserving the mound, researching the mound, and so on. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is we're going to call that a day now, and I'm going to ask, is there any questions? However, before we do those quick questions, I would like to show you something else. I did mention the Skipsea Mound. And the interesting thing with the Skipsea Mound, it's another mound that has had a castle on it for many, many years. Well, when I say has castle on it for many, many years, it's got it's believed that the Skipsea Mound is linked. There it is, the Skipsea Mound. And they believe, oh, because there was Norman remains on it, it undoubtedly has to be Norman. But the Skipsea Castle, this is rather interesting. Right, so here we go. And we're going to do this as an article of the week, and then we will call it a day. Right, so here we go. Right. Skipsea Castle, we've shown you where it is, just the northeast coast, was built on at least an Iron Age mound. So even though that's the Iron Age or earlier, not quite Neolithic, it's that thing that monuments have been mistaken to be built in certain periods of time when they're actually built a lot earlier. Just because the Normans put a castle on top of it, it doesn't mean to say there was actually Norman build. When the Normans decided to set their mark on Skipsea in Yorkshire, within 20 years of 1066, they didn't bother to build a new castle mound. They used one that already existed and had been dominating the landscape for probably 1,500 years before the Normans. Skipsea, a huge mound, 13 meters tall, and 85 meters in diameter. So not very much under the diameter of the one that we've just been talking about at Marlborough. Even though this mound itself is nowhere near as big as Silbury Hill, you can think that this has been misidentified as well. There's thought that the Tower of London may actually be an earlier mound as well. We don't know. Windsor might be an earlier mound, all these different places. Skipsea is still described in the official guides as a Norman structure, but we know it dates from around at least 2,500 years ago. Again, that guy, Jim Leary, has been looking into this from the University of Reading, looking at Marlborough and Silbury Hill. And he led, he thinks that the finds are actually astonishing. As we talk about, Jim Leary says, to say that the discovery of an Iron Age monument hiding in plain sight was surprising is an understatement. Conventional wisdom has suggested that castle moats were brought to England by the Normans, but castle moats already existed. Mounds, it's the same word. A moat can be a mound or a ditch around the outside. Exists up and down the country, but they're a huge size mean that their huge sizes in places mean they're rarely excavated. So the supposition is that Skipsea is likely to be a burial mound from the Iron Age or actually earlier. That's the only reason we know for people in the Iron Age to raise such structures. But we don't have many big burial mounds in Britain. We might get them in Europe. So Jim Leary, as we start to close, expects to discover more ancient mounds repurposed as Norman castles through a dating technique that is described as resembling a giant core, by sort of sampling to get a good idea what's going on with the mounds. Mr. Leary says that his suspicions about the true dates of castle mounds began when he was working on Silbury and driving every day past another mound within the grounds of Marlborough School. That was believed to be either Norman or possibly a much later garden folly. Some of the sites believed to be Norman that he has investigated have turned out to be much later. For example, Lewes Castle in East Sussex. So in other words, they thought the mound at Lewes Castle was actually Norman. It actually was later. So Jim Leary investigating these mounds as 10 more castle mounds that he's going to look at. He wanted to look at Windsor Castle, but not at this stage. So what we're going to do, we're going to call this a day now and find out if there are any questions. Right, go for it. Are there any questions, Richard?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Take the most of it in.
Good. Henry lost a will to live. Thank you for that, Richard. Anything you'd like to say, Henri?
Just a few questions.
Go on.
Bracing
Oh,
yourself.
shit. Yeah.
Out of interest, how many mounds are in the area of the Marlborough Hill mound?
Not many,
Been
because there's not many.
identified?
There's not actually many pure mounds at all. But I think what they're trying to do is work out what are the glacial mounds and what are the natural mounds. There's not a massive number of mounds because it's Wiltshire. It's fairly flat. You've
Yeah,
got
it's
the Vale
flat.
of Pewsey. Yeah, you've got
You
the Vale
did-
of Pewsey.
You did mention one other.
Yes, I did.
I
Come
can't
on.
remember.
Should be in your notes.
Beginning with C, I think.
Yes, you are correct. I'm looking at my
But,
notes as
no,
well.
I think it's interesting because we've got to find out more, and we are finding out more all the time. But I suppose when you say that the skip C one might be built on an Iron Age mound, well, hill. I suppose that's pushing it later again, isn't it, than the Neolithic?
Yeah, but the thing is, what
So-
could happen, there might be glacial pillows across the landscape that they just continued building because they wanted to. So in relation to the landscape of Silbury, Avebury and the likes of Marlborough, it's obviously trying to find what is actually natural and what is man-made. So that research is ongoing.
Yeah.
Next, Henry.
The Skipsea one, its relationship or linkage to a German site, which are similar mounds.
Yes,
Has that
that's
been
right.
looked at in detail?
But what we've got large burial mounds in Denmark and sort of Germany and other places in Scandinavia, which do turn out to be burial mounds. But it doesn't mean to say that these mounds have to be burial mounds in a British context. It's sort of, we might have a different reason that we've connected these mounds. They don't always need to be for burial.
But
Right, carry on.
Well, no, do they sit in the same time frame? And
Yes.
therefore, is there a correlation between communities that ranges across these areas?
Well, the difference is that we've got smaller populations in Europe, so we're more family community based, and they're sort of more community based. So it's a different way of looking at it. Different horses for courses in different areas, and it doesn't mean to say that just because we get these mounds as burials on the continent, mean that they have to be burial mounds here.
No. Yes.
Yeah. Any other? What's the other questions, Henri?
No, that's fine. That's fine. I was going to leave you to lie down and sit in a darkened room.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think I need to. Right. Thank you for that, Richard. And Anne, keep your questions brief because we've had them all day.
No, it's okay. I'm quite happy with where you're going with this. Because we're getting more, chronologically, we're getting more modern, which I can understand. But yeah.
Good,
That's
good.
okay, fine.
Good. Right. So if you got anything else to say, Anne, Richard and Henry, and anything else?
No.
No.
Okay. Nothing else, Richard, Anne? Right,
No,
okay,
thank
what I'll say, we're back here next Tuesday. And we'll keep doing them on Thursday evenings. And but if you want to do Tuesday evening, then you're very welcome. Instead of a Thursday, then we'll go from there. So anyway, thanks for joining us tonight. And Henry, nothing else to say then?
No, that's great. The signal's just broken up just at the right time.
Okay, then, brilliant. All right, then. Well, what I'm going to say, Richard, we won't see you next Wednesday, but if you see you Tuesday in the evening, that'll be great. So what I'm going to say is Anne, Henry, and Richard, I will see you next week. Thanks
What
for joining
time
us.
on Tuesday?
Bye-bye then. Bye.
7:30.
Bye.
7:30.
Bye.
Yeah, 7:30 Tuesday.
7:30. Okay.
Take care, Henry and Anne. 7:30
Bye-bye.
on Tuesday. Take care,
Bye.
Henry and Anne.
Bye.
Take care,
Thank you,
Richard.
everyone.
Bye.
So
Take care.
long.
Bye. Bye-bye. So long. Night-night. Night-night. Night-night, Henri.
You look as though you need to lie down.
Have a lie down. Yes, I will. Take care, my friend. Thanks
Okay.
for your support.
I'll
I'll see you soon.
next. I'll see you next Thursday.
Yeah, I can
After
tell it's
I've looked-
breaking up.
Yeah, after I've looked for Pirate Pete on the coast.
I think you should. No, it's James a pirate, you nugget, and I'm on TikTok as well.
Yeah, no, I'm going to be on the Coast Guard station.
Oh right, what in Newquay?
No, St. Donat's
Oh, best of luck.
in the castle.
Oh, best of luck.
Right, enjoy yourself.
I will. See you soon. Enjoy. Take care. Ah, I know what he meant by Pirate Pete. Pirate Pete, I know. Story of St. Donna's Pirate Pete. Right, yeah, I know about that one. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the chat. Nothing in the chat. Nothing in the chat. And what I'm going to do is everybody listening and watching online, don't forget to like and subscribe. If there's no questions online, I am going to go. And no questions. Nothing. All right then. Well, that's me done. That's me. I'm going to call it a night. That's it. I'm done. I'm going to go. Night, folks. Night.